We are Haley and Cooper, and last year we bought a 1997 Winnebago to travel the United States. After 6 months of needed updates and fixes, we officially set off on our journey. We are currently headed out west and will be documenting our adventure here. Be sure to follow along to see where our journey takes us.
We have officially finished the second week of our RV journey heading out west. First day, woke up in the Badlands.
We went to Sheep Mountain Table, and we're pretty sure table is like a topological or geographical, some sort of feature. It's actually what it's called. It was really beautiful up there. Drive up this like long winding road. This was actually not in the core of the Badlands or what people normally go to. This was in one of the southern units. So started off there, drove this really long road.
It's about hour and a half away from our campsite.
So. We walked about 2.5 miles up there, so that was great. Really beautiful views. Very interesting butte section. It looks really different than the north unit, which is where we spent the most of the rest of this week. So we wanted to do this. Since it was so far away, we decided doing this on Sunday probably made the most sense. We both work full-time during the week, so needed to use the opportunity of all the hours. So that we did. It was beautiful, very quiet. We heard from another tourist, so taking this with a grain of salt, but we heard that that was the highest point in all of the Badlands, so that was really cool just to get to go do that.
From there was a really cool viewpoint we were recommended at the visitor center.
I think it's called Red Table.
Red Shirt,
yes.
Red Shirt viewpoint. And we decided to go out there because we were already way out there. And
this is like another hour past our campsite. So we've already driven an hour to get to where we are, and now we're going to go another hour in our little SUV.
Yeah, and keep in mind the Badlands is in the middle of nowhere, and when you leave the Badlands, it's more middle of nowhere.
It's even more.
It's even
middle
more.
Of nowhere.
There's nothing because there's no tourism out there, so it's actually just nothing. And we were driving out, and we decided to keep going. And about halfway, we realized we didn't have enough gas to get all the way out and back.
So this is like when you start to hit panic mode, because honestly, we have seen maybe 5 cars in the last 45 minutes. So if we pull over out of gas, I mean, you're there for a while. Like even with AAA, it's going to take hours to get to you. We aren't even sure if we have enough like gas to get back. There's no gas stations. This is panic mode.
So we were trying to figure out what to do. We didn't really have great cell service either on top of all of it.
Naturally.
Yeah. So we decided to just head back, and Haley thought we saw a gas station in scenic South Dakota.
And I will let you know, it is not particularly scenic. It is tiny. It looks like a ghost town.
Run down every building.
I don't know if anyone lives there anymore. There are no open businesses, and there isn't really even an open gas station, but there was a gas pump that does work next to a vending machine.
For the great price of $4 a gallon. So that was...
So we filled up as much as we
needed
to and then moved on. But we were very thankful that scenic South Dakota exists solely because we did not run out of gas that day.
The next day, we decided that our campsite, you could run generators in it.
Right.
But they recommend that you only do that when you need to.
Strongly recommend
that you only need it when we need to. And we need to run our generator so we can get our Starlink Wi-Fi so we can work.
We're hoping to get like a solar powered generator, but Amazon is really hard to do whenever you're in the middle of nowhere. They don't have drop boxes. We don't really have permanent addresses. So we just don't have one at this time. But theoretically, it's coming. It's supposed to arrive while we're here in Custer, so we'll see. But at the time, generator was our only source. So.
And we found there was another, I don't know if the National Campground National.
It's a Buffalo Grasslands National Prairie or something like that.
Basically a little spot outside of the Badlands on a road. There's nothing there. It's just like an open gravel parking lot. And so we decided we can bring the RV there, run the generator, not annoy anyone. And it was kind of nice to not have to have like people walking directly past your windows and stuff, because the campground we were staying at, you were pretty on top of everyone.
Right.
So it was a very cool location, but the one downside is you were like 20 feet on all sides from someone else.
We stayed at Cedar Pass Campground, which is in the Badlands. It's privately owned, but it's like one of the few places you can actually stay in that area. Not a tree in sight, but that's also just how the Badlands is. So given what was offered at the Badlands, it was a good campground. We liked it. Obviously would have preferred shade, but it's just not what the Badlands is like. It's very much desert meets prairie. All these really beautiful buttes and spires and things, but very few trees. So, but yeah, we would recommend that campsite.
And then we came back from working and
we did the window trail that day, and our guidebook is like, it will take you 20 minutes. And we're like, okay. And then it does not.
You park, and it takes, I think, 4 minutes to walk to the end of the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And that's the trail.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about the Badlands is it's an open park, and so you can go anywhere you want. So there's all these really cool, I don't know if they're mountains or mounds or whatever you want to call them.
Rock formations.
That you can climb on, and you can go do whatever you want. So we were able to go climb on those, so it made it a little more enjoyable.
We, as in him.
And then, in par with our journey, a storm came in again.
Of course.
Really dark, fast
scary
storm came in. So we drove back down the windy road to get to our RV campground, and we closed all the windows and everything, and it was again like dangerously strong winds.
And if you saw our video last week, you saw that we had rain in our RV one time, and our roof tried to blow off another time, and our awning tried to blow off another time. Thankfully, this time everything was okay. We hadn't actually gotten around to making all those fixes, and by we I also mean him, but we still were fine. All of our temporary DIYs had worked, so that was good. However, we are obviously very blessed to be living in an RV. There's a lot of people there who are in RVs, either permanently or for temporary vacations, and a lot of tent campers. So we're like looking out the window, feeling so bad for them, hoping everyone's okay. We see this one guy who is just like hardcore struggling
by himself.
His tent is honestly trying to just like take flight.
So I
was like, Coop, you should go help him. Yeah, and it is like raining sideways. So
I was voluntold to go
help. He was, but he was so good. I feel so much better that you went, because I would have felt so bad if his tent blew away. So Coop very graciously helped him pin it down. So he was the hero of that man's day.
And then on Tuesday
we went to Wall Drug.
Yep.
So this is kind of like one of the biggest roadside attractions in the U.S. They have billboards all over the country. From what I hear, there's one in other countries too. It's just kind of their thing. They started off with this gimmick way back. I don't even know how long it's been around. Early 1900s, I think
so.
Of offering free ice water to travelers. So this is kind of how they got their start. And then now they're known for billboards. So we counted, we saw our first one somewhere on the east side of Minnesota, and we counted how many we saw until we got to the actual Wall Drug store itself, and we saw 85. So lots and lots and lots of billboards.
The best part about the billboard, they don't advertise anything. Right. They just say Wall Drug.
Or it'll be like,
That's
be
it.
Yourself, Wall Drug. Yeah. Or sometimes it'll be like, cowboy hats, Wall Drug. It
doesn't give you an exit number.
Yeah,
doesn't give you how far. It just says Wall Drug on it.
Right.
So we went to that very cool place when we arrived. We thought it was going to be very touristy, very...
Yeah.
buy these very cliche...
We weren't expecting much.
Knickknacks.
Yeah.
Expecting like a little souvenir shop. It was actually huge.
It was awesome. It was actually, I would say it was very much worth it.
It was, 100%. So it was, a full block. Probably the buildings were.
Huge.
It was like you walk in, and it's like basically enclosed downtown.
Yeah.
There's all these little shops. There was like a cowboy hat shop. There was boots. There was like local artist paintings. There was a fudge place. We got fudge. It was amazing.
So good. Very inexpensive, all things considering. Both the fudge place, first off, recommend the peanut butter and chocolate, the salted caramel. Cooper loved the Rocky Road. And then, but everything was actually really affordable, which, again, we're definitely not expecting. So
yeah, you could get like food and everything for like $5 to $10. You could get souvenirs like shirts for like $10 instead of like other places we've been where they're $20 to $30.
But they also had really beautiful artistry things. A lot of pottery, again, very affordable. Various kinds of things. All kinds of things you can imagine. Bison skulls that were real, cowhide.
I wanted to get a bison skull and put it on the front of the RV, and that idea was shot down.
I think that would look great in a certain kind of house. It would not look great on the front of our RV. So yeah, Wall Drug was awesome. There was definitely like a kitschy, touristy section, but if you're looking for something that's real and authentic, there was that there as well.
Unfortunately, we didn't give ourselves quite enough time. Again, we got there, closed at 9. But so after that, we
closed at 8.
Closed at 8. After that, we went to the grocery store down the road, got groceries stocked up.
Grocery store.
It was more like they have the necessities, and it was great. It was what we needed.
They were very nice. They didn't have much, but they were very nice.
Yep, and then made it back, and then Wednesday morning, it was the hottest day.
Oh my gosh, it was blazing.
There was a heat warning. Weather has been very not our friend on this trip so far, but I don't think it's been anyone's friend this past 2 weeks.
It like sounds obvious that whenever you live in an RV, weather impacts you more, but honestly, like it has rained so much, and it has rained a lot where like you get like the rains where like, okay, this is a normal rain, like it's more than a drizzle, but I'm not like afraid for my life. And then we've gotten so many times where it's rained like sideways, like the RV is like shaking. Cooper's probably on the roof because that, again, if you saw our last video, seems to be a recurring pattern. We've had crazy weather.
Yeah.
And really, really beautiful days, but obviously you remember the crazy weather a little bit more. So this was the really, really hot day. I think it was 95.
It was in the 90s, almost 100,
Yeah.
all day. Like
in the desert.
Starting like 8 in the morning. And there's no shade.
Right.
And if this is the one day where there's no wind, I think the highest wind was maybe 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We had no breeze. We were just cooking.
Yep.
So work was slower.
A grind.
Slower than most days. And after work, we decided let's go for a hike.
Because why not?
And then we realized it was too hot, so we did the scenic loop instead.
Yes.
And
I was like, did we go for a hike that day? No, thankfully we're not that silly.
So we did the scenic loop, and on
but
the scenic
first
loop,
popsicles.
First popsicles, yep, bomb pops, amazing. And we were going to do the scenic loop and do little hikes on the scenic loop, but it was so hot, we just decided
opted for the car.
Just stick with the viewpoints and then get back in the air conditioning and drive.
We did almost every viewpoint on it, and there's a lot. They were all beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely recommend spending some time doing that. That was great. It's a scenic loop road. It's kind of one of the core attractions, I guess you would call it, in the Badlands. It's one of the most common things to do and the most popular. So we really loved that. Started from where we were camped out, which was on Cedar Pass, which is on the east side of the Badlands, and then made our way west to Pinnacles Overlook, which is one of the most famous. So
and then we kept doing that and went out to Sage Creek Road.
Sage Creek Road, yep.
Sage Creek Road, that's where all the wildlife is. So if you want to see bison, prairie dogs, longhorn, we didn't see pronghorn.
Yeah.
We didn't see any bighorn sheep.
Yeah, we were looking. They're supposed to be there, but none for us.
Well, that's where everything was, and we saw bison like off in the distance. We weren't really sure if they were cows or bison, and then we kept going, and we saw
they're right there.
Bison like 5 feet off the road. Like you could almost reach out of your car and touch them. We didn't because we're not that dumb.
Yeah.
But it was very cool. We watched them for probably half an hour, and they just are walking, and they're just rubbing up against signs and rocks and stuff. So. And
Sage Creek Road, I mean, like some people know about it. It's not as common to do as the Scenic Loop Road. We definitely recommend doing it if you have time. Especially if you're interested in seeing the wildlife. And it was beautiful. We got to see a lot more viewpoints that were kind of along the section that Pinnacles Overlook is in, but from a lot of different perspectives. So that was perfect. We loved that. And more prairie dogs than you can ever possibly imagine.
Just forever. So if you want to see prairie dogs, go to Badlands. They're not hard to find.
Yeah.
And then from there, we kept going, and we want to catch the sunset at Pinnacles. So we got to a certain point and turned around and went back up the road.
Yep.
Just as cool the second time as it was the first time.
Absolutely.
Saw the same bison. They don't move very fast, apparently, unless they're being chased. They're running after something. And got up to the Pinnacles. It's where everyone watches the sunset.
Bring a lawn chair. We didn't know, but that's the thing to do. People have like lawn chairs and coolers and beer.
Yep.
So now you know, because we didn't.
Yep. And we sat there. Sunset was very cool. It lasted a lot longer than most sunsets, I feel like.
It was really beautiful.
So it was, very cool, setting over the Badlands and over all the prairies and everything. Really awesome, really cool.
Yeah.
And then we
drove back to our campground in the dusk and then dark. So that was a little sketchy, but we were all right. Made it back, and that, I believe, was the end of Wednesday.
Yep. And then Thursday, after work, we decided to do the Door Trail, which we were thinking we could do the Door Trail and the Notch Trail, and another little trail all in the same evening.
And we could have,
but then we got to the Door Trail and realized it's actually the coolest trail we've ever seen.
It was spectacular. It's they're all in the same parking lot. A lot of them are the Window, the Door, the Notch, and then also the Castle Trail, which I'll get to in a minute. All of them are kind of in the same parking lot base. So we had been to the Window Trail, like we said before. It tells you it's going to take 20 minutes. And we're like, it took us like 4. So we were kind of expecting that. Not expecting much. It was amazing. There
was a boardwalk for the Door Trail, and it goes out same distance as the Window Trail, like 4 minutes out, 4 minutes back. But then it splits off, and then there's these red or yellow stakes in the ground, just like in the rock out through the Badlands area. that you can walk on, and it wasn't like a flat trail. It was all jagged and everything like that. So very cool.
You feel like it's not, there's no elevation gain really, so if you're worried about that, you don't need to be for this, but you're on like all of these rocks, and it was really cool. You would have to be athletic enough to be able to like walk up and down these little rocks, but again, it's not an elevation issue.
You don't have to be like a world-class athlete or anything to do it. So it was very cool. So we were out there for probably about an hour.
Yeah, we just like
walking around.
Cooper was like off exploring.
We have come to the Badlands, so I can fulfill every man's dream. The last man to ever touch this rock in existence.
And then I would just like stand and like contemplate the beauty of something, and then Cooper would be like off exploring somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, yeah, it felt like one of those places you could stay forever. And it was nice because, one, that day was less hot, and two, it was in the afternoon, so you could just kind of be there. And we got to watch the sunset through the door, which is these two sections of much larger, I don't honestly know what these areas are called. Pinnacles is what I've heard. Buttes, I've heard other things, but the large rock formations, we got to see the sunset through those from back there as well. So yeah, that was my absolute favorite thing we did this past week, was that.
Yeah. And then Friday morning we had to check out. So we left our campground, and I decided I wanted to run the Castle Trail, which is the longest official trail they have in the Badlands. There's only like 5 or 6 trails.
Right.
Officially in the Badlands, like I said earlier, you can walk anywhere you want. I wanted to run it. So it was about...
He's been talking about doing this all week. Like, he's like, come with me, come with me. Okay, so for context, he ran his first marathon 2 weeks ago, and one time I ran 2.5 miles in my life. So I was not going to be doing a 10-mile total, 5 out, 5 back running trail, but he did.
But so I did. So I made a whole video on it. I'll link it in the description or something. And yeah, it was really cool. Definitely, if you have the time for the Castle Trail, definitely
you don't have
do
to run
it. You don't have to run it. It takes about 4 to 5 hours walking. I mean, it is 10, 11 miles down a trail, so some parts are steeper than others or like rocky. Some parts are really smooth and flat. But so we did that. Definitely recommend it at the time, but it's not a necessity. I think the Door Trail and the Scenic Loop and the Window Trail are very cool.
Yeah.
If you only have one day, visit those instead of the Castle Trail. But yeah, overall very cool. And then after that, took a couple hours, came back and tried to figure out some
Amazon. And it rained on him again.
It rained on me again. The weatherman lied to me. I said it wasn't going to rain all day, and then it rained for probably like half an hour.
I'm in the RV working, trying to get some things done because we're headed out that day and we're going to be driving for a while. So I'm like working, and all of a sudden I hear rain. I was like, oh, well, that sounds fun for him. And then I just went back to work.
Yeah. So, and then came back, and then we left for our next camp spot.
Custer Crazy Horse Campground. So as the name implies, we are in Custer. We are, in fact, 10 minutes away from Crazy Horse. We haven't gone yet. It is Sunday at the moment, and we figured we would wait for some of the tourists to die down and it be a little bit less crowded. So I think we're headed there tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But we've been here since Friday evening. So.
But we pulled in Friday evening.
Yes.
Did laundry, kind of reset a little bit. We've been living a little fast-paced the last couple days.
Yeah. And it's great here. Super shaded. The staff's very friendly, very nice. It's been a great spot.
We opted in to get water, electric, and sewage hookups. So we're basically like a house right now. We don't have any.
We're glamping.
We're glamping, so it's very nice. And then
we're getting spoiled too, me in particular.
And then so that was Friday, and then Saturday.
Yeah.
We wanted to do something that we were hoping wasn't going to be where all of the like weekend tourists were going to be.
Yeah, which kind of sort of worked out.
Custer is very cool, so everyone is everywhere.
Yeah.
And we went to the Needles Highway.
Yes, which is a scenic highway that runs through Custer State Park. So if we use these interchangeably, we're kind of in the Black Hills. And so this is Black Hills National Forest, and right up next to it is Custer State Park. So you don't really know which one you're in at any given time. Black Hills you don't have to pay for, to our knowledge. We at least haven't paid for it yet. And Custer you do have a fee. The national park thing doesn't work, so that's a small fee.
It was, I think, $20 or $30, but you get a pass for the week, so it's not anything crazy.
So we drove the Needles Highway, which is a really big deal.
And on our way through it, we stopped at Sylvan Lake, which is the most photographed lake in Custer, which a little surprised. It was smaller than we were expecting.
But it was very pretty.
It was very beautiful, very cool. A lot of people there. And we decided
that was popular. That was a popular one, and so that was the most congested place we went yesterday. Mm-hmm. For some reason, like, our brains don't think of these things. Like, we didn't think of lawn chairs at the Pinnacles Overlook. We also did not realize this was like a beachy kind of lake. I mean, it's really beautiful rock formations that rise out of this lake, so it's not just kind of beachy and kitschy, but there's a lot of people who are swimming and stuff. So if that's something you're into, it would definitely be a great spot for it.
Mm-hmm. And then we decided to do the hiking trail around the lake. Yep. It's like a half a mile to a mile. It's pretty easy. It'll take you like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes.
It is easy. I will say, though, like, I've been on lakeshore trails before. It is not perfectly flat. So if that's something that you need, then it is not totally flat. There is some elevation there.
Yeah. And we decided to then do the Sunday Gulch Trail.
Yeah.
Which is a little more aggressive. I think on all of the maps and stuff we found, all the hikings, everyone rated it strenuous, which it definitely was. It was very intense. Correct. It was 3-ish miles, a little more, maybe a little less. Went on a hike, probably overestimating our abilities. And the estimated time was 2 to 4 hours.
And it is every bit of at least 2 hours. We did it relatively quickly, I would say. I mean, we don't have any like young kids or anything to keep up with, though we saw some out there, which we thought was brave. But so we did it in like 2.5 or so, and we did a couple of stops along the way because Mr. Marathon was totally fine, and I was like like trying to breathe. So but it was really cool, especially the first half.
Start if you can. Start at the edge that starts at the dam. You can start at the dam, or you can start at the top of the dam.
Start at the dam.
Start at the bottom of the dam, because you go down. I mean, both of them start going downhill into like basically the low point of the valley, and then the second half going either way is uphill to the next.
But if you start at the dam, this was probably the best part of the trail, but we were getting to go down, which is helpful, and you'll hear why in a minute. It is like rocks. Like, you're like climbing down boulders, and they have these super helpful basically pipe railings that run along the sides, but there's like very few stairs. Like, if you've ever done ones where you're kind of sort of rocky trail sort of thing, and it's like carved out stone stairs, this is not that. You're like actually walking along like down boulders and using the friction of the edge of the boulder to keep you from falling. So I mean, it's intense and
very fun.
They have pipes and stuff, like I said, to help you down, which I used entirely, while my husband here jumped from boulder to boulder down, and I panicked every time he did that we were gonna have like a sprained ankle or something, and I was not gonna be able to carry him up out of here. But it was amazing. So I mean, if you can do it, absolutely recommend. But we probably were doing that for like 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, it was
straight down. So if you're going up that, I mean, that's a lot. So start at the dam.
It's at least an hour down and at least an hour up.
Yeah.
So unless you want to run it and be really awesome, go for it.
Or stupid, however you want to read that.
But we met people on the trail who said they've been doing it for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
So, and they had little kids, or they were a little older, or whatever. So
yeah,
it's definitely doable.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not an impossible hike. It's just more difficult. We were prepared. We had water and snacks.
Bring a lot of water.
Some people didn't have water, and I felt bad for them.
Yeah, bring a lot of water. Definitely bring some snacks. Yeah, but it really was awesome. Specifically the first half. The second half is more what you would kind of expect out of a trail through the woods. Up and down a little bit. Mostly shaded, I would say, which was nice because it was hot yesterday. But there are some sections where you're out in the sun too. So my very fair skin needed lots of sunblock. But yeah, definitely recommend that as well.
And that ended at another spot on the Lakeshore Trail.
So we finished the rest of
that. And then finished the rest of the Needles Highway.
Yes.
And stopped at the Purple Pie Place.
Yes.
For lunch. Got their sandwiches. They were good.
Yeah.
Highlight, definitely the pie. I got strawberry rhubarb, and it was phenomenal.
If you don't know, I'm gluten-free, so unfortunately could not enjoy the pie, but there were gluten-free bread for the sandwiches, which was great, and then I had some of the ice cream, which was awesome. I ended up with huckleberry and chocolate, so I feel like huckleberry is just a thing out here in the West from what we've learned so far, so I had to try that, and it was very good.
It's kind of like a blueberry, blackberry,
meets a black raspberry
combo.
It's good.
It's good. It's purple.
It. Yeah. It's purple. It is, in fact, a very purple place. This is in Custer. If you keep driving down the main street in Custer, you will find it. It is entirely purple. It's kind of at the end of Main Street, so if you think you've gone too far, you probably haven't, but it was great. So we did that yesterday.
And that was all of the second week. Be sure to come back for week 3 and other things we got going on.
This upcoming week, we are going to be in the Black Hills / Custer all week, so you will get to hear about that next weekend.